Call the meeting to order. Mr. Clerk, would you call the roll?
Dave Abdallah.
Here.
Thomas Berry is absent. Robert Constant.
Here.
Lisa Hicks Clayton is absent. Margaret Horvath.
Here.
Joseph Kosinski.
Here.
Ray Muscat.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Dearborn Area Chamber Ambassador Mike Mangone.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chair. Councilman Muscat.
We lost one of our city council colleagues here, lost his wife, and I'd like to see if we could have a moment of silence for Tom Berry's family.
Thank you. Yes, Thomas Berry, our councilman, lost his wife, Julia Berry, and we have a moment of silence, reflection, and prayer. Thank you. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Second by Councilman Abdullah. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
9A and 9B should be removed.
9A and 9B needs to be removed.
With the deletion of item 9A and B because they're not ready yet?
Right.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
is there something said about 13A? I understood someplace along the way that 13A was to be pulled also.
I would just suggest if you refer that to our city attorney for the transfer, that would do it.
Okay, that's the recommendation, huh?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, and with the, but we'll do that when 13A comes up.
Okay.
All right, the next item on the agenda, public hearing and comments on agenda items. If people would limit their comments to what's on the agenda, and we'll hear what you have to say. Any comments on agenda items?
Mr. Chairman, I don't believe we approved the minutes.
Oh,
Oh,
we
the
didn't
minutes from last
approve
one.
the minutes.
Yeah, the minutes.
I thought we just did it.
No.
Next item on the agenda, item 4A.
Mr. Chairman, move to approve the minutes of the last meeting as presented.
Support.
Support by Councilman Muscat. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, now, the next item on the agenda, item 5, public hearing and comment on agenda items. Mike, you want to get up and just give us briefly what item 11A is about? To tell who you are and...
Mike Magnone, Dearborn Heights residence, 4193 McKinley. I'm representing the St. Albert the Great Ushers, which is located in Dearborn Heights on Annapolis. We're just here for to show that we are a operating nonprofit church in the city of Dearborn Heights for the state of Michigan, so we can continue our church raffle that we do on a monthly basis based on the lotto. The state asked that we do that, and they will renew our license for us because it's a new ruling in the state that we needed that part of it.
Anybody have any questions, or?
Yeah, sure. So how long has that been going on?
We've been running a raffle for over 15 years.
Okay.
It's based on the 3-digit lottery. You've probably seen them out there, and that's our fundraising for the church since we've done away with the festival.
Sure.
And it just kind of helps out with the church.
And all the money goes to the church?
Church. Simple as that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
Thank you.
is there an exemption for churches with regard to their charitable status and all of the functions within that church?
So there always was, and now apparently a new ruling with the state, and they go to the extraordinary event of giving out this form that it has to be a council motion, which is odd. They have 501c3 status, the church does, but it's just an odd thing, and
But I'm asking the question because I've seen this form before, but not under the umbrella of a functioning church.
I mean, it's odd that they would have the,
What-
request the resolution from the
was-
city council.
Was St. Albert presented with a inquiry or somebody from the state issued this form for them to fill out, or what is the
Yes.
background for it?
Yes, that they requested this resolution be passed and that $15 be paid, which they haven't had to do in the past.
$15 is not the charitable part, though.
Right,
That's an expense.
come up to the,
Mr. Chairman, excuse me, I mean, I'm not going to say she can't talk, but I think you're missing the whole point of that. This should have been discussed at 11A. We're having a whole discussion on 11A. That they should have gotten up at 11A, and he should have told his story and made her comments. I understand that the comments on agenda item would be, and this is an example. For instance, 8E, and I'm just picking this one randomly, exemption for 217, Section 8 of Public Act 152 or of 2011. Someone would get up and say, I've studied that and I don't think you should agree to it, and here's my reasons, thank you very much, and sit down. This is way
But-
not in the order.
Yeah,
No, Robert, no buts. We are discussing 11A in the middle of the agenda. No matter which way you look at it, we are discussing 11A.
but the idea is that we have the discussion now instead of having people stand up during
No.
that item.
No, if I'm wrong, please, somebody tell me, Gary tell me, Chief tell me. If I'm wrong, please tell me. But my interpretation of comments on agenda items is just what I said. A comment give your opinion or your thought on agenda item so we can think about it, and that's it.
Mr. Chairman,
Not a Q&A, there's not.
I'll take responsibility for it. I agree with Councilwoman Horvath. I was out of order with regard to the questioning, and some of the reasoning that went behind it is because I found that this form was deliberately entertained in other instances to the exclusion of churches. So let's go forward in this. Let's talk about it at 11A.
Well, no, she's up here now, let's finish the conversation.
Doesn't matter to me, I will be here all day.
I didn't mean that at you. Okay. I mean, we're missing the point. Yeah, Robert, I'm sorry. but
Usually
it's not
on the item,
That item is not meant to be question and answer. That, in my opinion, and boy, I have a lot of them, don't I? But in my opinion, it's not a Q&A. It's for the public to get up, tell us what they think on an item.
Exactly.
Maybe give us some idea or thought on why maybe we're going to change our vote because we understand what they're saying. But it's not a back and forth Q&A. I'm sorry, that's the way I interpret it.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Musket?
I'd have to tend to agree with Councilwoman Horvath that we were supposed to listen to what the residents had to say about a particular item on the agenda, and all we were supposed to do was listen. As much as I just didn't want that part, but that's what we agreed to. And the agreement stands as we passed it, so unfortunately, we have to abide by that, okay? So if they want to, talk about 11A when it comes up, then I guess we have the right to let them talk.
That's what we'll do. Anybody else? Any public hearing and comment on agenda items? All right, the next item on the agenda, item 6, is fund transfers and current claims.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Horvath.
I move that the council approve current claims 6-1 through 6-24.
Second.
Second by Councilman Musket. Any discussion?
Chair,
Councilman Musket.
earlier today, I talked with our Fire Chief Brogan about 6-1, and it is not paid for out of the Recreation Department, but it should be from a different fund. Am I correct on that, Mr. McCary?
Yeah, the requested by Recreation Department is incorrect, but the account number is correct.
That's, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, item 7, tabulation of bids, home safety grant.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Musket.
I move City Council approve Chief Brogan in requesting permission to accept a bid from the Fire Line Products to purchase the following items: 3,000 smoke detectors, 1,000 carbon monoxide detectors, and 1,000 fire extinguishers. The final line products had the lowest bid of $69,800. The fire prevention grant will cover 95% of the cost, leaving the city to pay $3,490 out of the capital outlay. I request this payable upon receipt, and also request to return bid deposits to unsuccessful bidders as outlined in 7A.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kozinski. Any discussion?
Just, Mr. Chair,
Councilman Abdullah?
I just want to congratulate Chief Brogan. I mean, that's beautiful. All this for the residents and then get it paid 95% by a grant, so just want to say congratulations, wherever he's at.
Good job.
Okay. All right.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, item 8A, from Mayor Paletko, 2016-2017 water budget.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Horvath.
I move that the council approve the attached water budget and the water rate increase for 2017 as outlined in 8A.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kozinski. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion of approving the 2016-2017 water budget, please state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
It's only the 2017, Mr. Chairman, because they don't go into effect until December.
That's
So it's
what's,
for 2017,
that's what's
correct?
written. Did everybody vote?
Yes.
Yes.
The motion is passed. The next item on the agenda, item 8B, fund balance reserve for future health care expenses.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
I move council agree with the recommendations of the mayor to allocate or set aside $2 million from fund balance for general government health care issues, as indicated in item 8B, correspondence dated November 1st, 2016.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Horvath. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, item 8C, also from Mayor Paletko, U.S. Department of Interior Geological Survey Joint Funding Agreement.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
I move council concur with the mayor's request to accommodate the requirements of item 8C and authorize the payment of $15,700 to the United States Department of Interior for the Ecorse Creek abatement issues as defined in item 8A,
Second.
dated October
8C.
27, 2016.
Is there support? Support by Councilman Abdullah. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, item 8D, from Mayor Paletko, Downriver Sewage Disposal System Service Agreement and Resolution.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
Mayor Pletko.
If I might, the resolution we're looking for, and I checked with the council chair prior to the meeting, is for a motion to set up a committee, the whole meeting, and then we'll bring Patrick McCauley and the engineer Dick Henshon to make the presentation to the council. But this is something that they're hoping all the communities in the downriver system will pass this resolution by the end of the year. And I wanted to give you enough time so you could start to look at it and generate questions and thoughts.
So that'll be next Tuesday.
This coming
So we
Tuesday?
This
refer
coming
this-
Tuesday.
So we refer this to a study
Study
session.
session.
Right, so we're not
Okay, Mr.
voting on it
Chairman?
right now.
No.
Correct.
Right.
Voting on referring it to a study session.
Right.
Move That we refer it to a study session.
I'll second that.
Second by Councilman Musket. Any discussion? We had the discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, also from Mayor Pletko, 2017 Section 8 of Public Act 152 of 2011, exemption.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
the presumption is this is received, note, and file. Acknowledging that the council has agreed to the documents of Section 8, Public Act 152 to be extended through 2017, all indicated in item 8E with the date October 26, 2016.
Second.
Second by Councilman Musket. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, item 11A, resolution for charitable gaming license from St. Albert the Great Ushers Club, 4855 Parker, Dearborn Heights.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
I move that the Dearborn Heights City Council acknowledge the Ushers Club of St. Albert the Great as a charitable institution with a address located in the city of Dearborn Heights.
Second.
Second by Councilman Musket. Any discussion?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think all of the discussion has already occurred. One of the things that kind of struck me with the question was that in previous such acknowledgements of a charitable organization, the organizations were unaffiliated with any church organization or established church organization. And I find it interesting that now the churches are being pressed for an extra $15 to accommodate the licensing fee for a known operation to be a charitable organization for the last 15 years. So that there's some quandary or question in my mind as to whether there is some authentication to the legitimacy of the state requiring a church to develop or accommodate them with a questionnaire with regarding to charitable organizations. I don't. Maybe Councilor Malatke would have something to say about that.
I think we've seen this before. I'm fairly certain that we've had at least one happen before, and it is a newer procedure. I do have one question, though. Is it supposed to be St. Albert the Great Ushers Club, or should it be St. Albert the Great Catholic Church or the parish, as opposed to the ushers?
It can be St. Albert the Great Church Ushers Club, and I think that I'm going to write to the state and say that this isn't something that a city council should really be passing on. I mean, they should do their investigation, and you don't have a resolution from your city council. I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, because I've dealt with nonprofits in the past and everything, and sometimes people fill out forms not quite right. I'm not saying they're doing it wrong here. I'm just saying I'm not sure who is supposed to be, since the money's supposed to go to the church. If
That's
what's
the,
intended
and
in
it's
this
the organization is part of the church. So, but it's to me a strange requirement. Chris, go ahead.
Okay, Christine Sickle, 1431 Whittier Place, Dearborn, Michigan. With the increase of all the Texas Hold'em events that are being held in bowling alleys and all over, the State of Michigan Lotto Commission was requiring the cities to pass a resolution that they recognize the charity and that they were a legit organization in their community. And also bylaw changes, like wording had to be changed in our bylaws with our Ushers Club. So I think because of all the Texas charity hold'ems that were out in the community, this resolution came about because I know of the Distinguished Young Woman Organization, which was the Junior Miss Pageant, and a lot of other organizations had to come forward and get the resolution from the city because of this to prove that they are a charitable organization in the city, and legit in the city. So that was probably Lansing's way of someone just coming up, because anybody could file anything with the state license and claim that they're a nonprofit and really not be. So I noticed this with all of, like I said, the Texas Hold'ems coming up, and St. Albert the Great. This is their only fundraiser. The Ushers Club sponsors the raffle for the church, so all the proceeds go and stays inside the parish. We've purchased security cameras, we've repaired a fence at the church, so everything does stay internal in the church. Although members do go out into the community and, work at soup kitchens and work with the Dearborn Heights Goodfellows also.
Well, if I may, the question I had was more directed. For example, sometimes we have people who feel compelled to sue the City of Dearborn Heights Police Department. There is no such entity. I know that Lee would like to feel that there is an entity, a corporate entity that has that kind of existence, but it doesn't. I mean, basically,
We do have bylaws with the Usher Club as part of St. Albert the Great.
But the point is that it might be more appropriate for it actually to be the church that would end up actually being the entity that would have the license. I'm not saying that that's necessarily the case. It's just that that would be the concern. In other words, you may not have a corporate existence, and you may be part of the parish, which has a corporate existence, but you may not have, you're a club within it, you're a volunteer association, you might not even have 501c3 status, because you're part of an organization that doesn't necessarily mean that the named organization does. So
I understand your issue, and I'll check into that, and there may be something about the fact that the church itself can't have the raffle, but I understand what you're getting at, and it is a separate legal entity, and the requirement in the bylaws are that any money, that it all goes to the church, that it all go for charitable.
yeah, I just raise it because I've seen this happen. And then people end up having something, they think that they're acting with authority, and then they're not necessarily acting with authority because they're part of an organization. I dealt with it with some alumni issues years ago.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilwoman
A
Horvath.
question. Is the Dad's Club or Ushers Club, are they a 501c3, the Ushers Club, or are they part of the church 501c3?
Part of the church 501c3.
Okay, then, Gary, don't call me tomorrow. If this is okay with the state, why are we making such a big deal out of it? I mean, what is our liability if we say yay or nay? I'm not, I want to know.
The question is not our liability. The question is, to be frank, whether or not you're making sure that you're recognizing the appropriate entity, which would probably really be the church, and then making sure that the state understands that the funds we're expecting are going to end up going to the church.
But wouldn't the state question that as opposed to us?
Well, yes, but I think that's why the state ends up expecting that we're doing it, since we are the ones who are telling them, yes, this is an organization that exists and is a charitable organization that works within this city. So it might seem very technical, but like I was saying, sometimes you have people who feel they're working under the umbrella of a 501c3, and they are, but they're not actually the entity. And then sometimes you might have a problem with where does the money end up going, ultimately with regard to that.
Well, I already have a problem with that with the church, so
But,
what's the difference?
That's the concern. I mean, if you don't feel, or you want Bob to check that out, then I understand.
And I am going to check into it further, because it's, I mean, they should have in their application, submit this, submit that, and, you know, but not have your city council have a resolution.
Mr. Chairman,
It's a burden on us. Councilman Kozinski?
there's another, I think there's another twist to this. Suppose name me another organization in church that has a church.
Altar Society, yeah.
Are these each individual segments that make up the entire umbrella of what the church is all about, charitable from top to bottom? Will they then be required to also submit an application for the same purposes as the Ushers Club is?
Yeah, now, the Rosary Altar Society, I don't think they don't have a raffle or anything. I don't think they're separate. They're just a club within the church. But, see, this is, we could go on and on all night. And
Yeah.
the thing is, why
All right.
having the city council pass on it?
My presumption is that's just checks and balances, just to make sure that they're in good standing in the city, and that's about it.
That's
That
exactly.
we're familiar with them, they're in good standing, that's it,
That's the
just checks and
expectation.
balances.
And what you're saying is consistent with what was stated and what I've heard before. In other words, someone just doesn't come up and say, I'm from the St. Albert the Great Usher Club. They can say that they are, but they're not actually the recognized St. Albert the Great
Right,
Usher
right.
Club. And that's the idea, to verify their identity. So,
In other words, not somebody doing it out of their home, you know,
Right.
hypothetically.
Any other discussion?
Well, I want to say to the representatives of the Ushers Club, Mr. Magnone, and I forget the lady's name at the
Sickle.
moment. We're not opposed to your good works. It's just a fact of the matter that there are some things that come up that are not clarified sufficiently for our decision-making responsibilities, and that's why we're asking the questions. So we wish you well.
Hearing no other discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, item 13A, transfer of city-owned vacant lot on South Beach Daily to Tifa.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Horvath.
I move that the city approve that the council approve the transferring of ownership of the lot, I believe it's 33042010004000, as outlined in 13A, ownership to Tifa, because they already own the surrounding lots, as outlined in 13A.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kozinski. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Councilman
I
Abdullah.
think, yeah, the representative from
Yeah,
Tiff's
Tom's
here,
here
right? Yeah.
too.
What size is that lot, do you know offhand? How many, 30? Oh, here it is, 34. Okay, and it's zoned commercial or residential? Commercial. Okay. I'm just thinking, I mean, why would we give it to them for free?
Tifa.
It's Tifa, they got the money.
I mean,
With properties like this, amongst other things, they get this parcel that's available, so then it's part of the bigger parcel and more
You're right.
marketable, put a business, you know, somebody to develop a business there.
They can combine several frontages and make it more attractive for a sale.
Right, right.
but we're still giving it up for free, though.
I don't know if there's a market for a 34-foot lot.
Well, and it goes to our TIFA that then hopefully will develop the property, so it's not really, it's part of the city, it's the administered by TIFA.
The other dimension is the depth. But is it 10 feet deep or 8 feet deep? We don't. You can look at it if you want the details, but
That's 138.
138
That's
feet.
138.
Yeah.
I have a client that has some commercial property in what's Midtown, and it's little parts of, and it's just a mess. And to market it or do anything with it is really difficult. So it's, I think, amongst other things, to make it a bigger piece.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Question, Dave.
Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
No.
Those opposed? Councilman Abdullah is a no. The motion passes. That completes our regular portion of the meeting. Any announcements from anybody at the table? Any announcements? Our city clerk?
Three things. First of all, I got a couple emails today. If you Google election results, or somebody did it on Bing, there are old archived results, and it will say November 2012. I just want to make people aware the correct results are on our website. Those are just archived old Google and search engine things that are on there, so we don't have the wrong results posted. It's just the search engine itself. Secondly, I just want to say, I don't want to name any individual names, but anybody who was involved in any way of helping us with this huge undertaking. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I've talked to some people individually and texted some people, and whatever your role was in any big way or any small way, I cannot express my appreciation enough to you. Everything went well, and thank you. Thank you. And for those of you who want to be critical of poll workers or anybody else, they do these things 2 or 3 times a year. They don't deserve any criticisms. They do their very best. And I always welcome, when I get phone calls, want to work the next election, we'll take you, okay? Finally, this has been going on for a long time, and I just want to mention it. People come to the clerk's office with a huge assortment of questions. The clerk's office is always willing and welcoming to help anybody we can. If we cannot help you, please understand that. People come and they want to question us about Monday while we were issuing ballots to garbage cans. And when is this and when is that? We take care of the things in the clerk's office. We refer people to the mayor's office. They continue to say, well, what about this? What about that? And they end up walking out the door. I'm sure the mayor wouldn't want me talking about things under his direction any more than I would want people talking about my direction. So please understand that we are willing to be as helpful as we can, but if it's not under the direction of us, we really can't answer that. So I just want to tell people that, you know, we have to refer it to the proper departments. So with that being said, thank you very much, everybody, and have a great evening.
Thank you. Councilman, Library Director Mike Cafferty.
Just something really quick. Hello, Council Chair and Mayor. Just want to thank the Friends of the Library for conducting another great book sale. The library raised over $3,200 for programs and materials, so thanks for everyone who picked something up. And Bill Deckert for all his continued heroic efforts and getting a lot done. He makes those book sales possible, so just wanted to say that. So thanks for your time, and see you at the library.
Mike, thank you. Any other announcements? Any other announcements? Hearing none, if any residents have any comments, please come up to the,
How about us?
that's what I just said.
Well, you said any comments, I mean, from council representative?
Councilman Luskett, go ahead.
I gotta just say one thing, my hat's off to the clerk's office. I think it went by perfectly. I visited a lot of the polling places. Absolutely wonderful. The cutout cardboard stations that you guys put together were a great idea. Helped the lines move fairly well, and we had a great turnout from my understanding, and I just want to tip my cap to your office and everybody who helped.
Thank you.
That's one. Number two, I guess this question would be for our corporate counsel. I received a phone call from a gentleman this past week. I don't want to mention his name, but he says that he's a licensed marijuana caregiver in Michigan.
I spoke to him.
Okay, so have you
So did
taken
I.
care, so have you taken care of the situation?
I believe so.
Okay.
I get like probably 3 calls about medical marijuana issues every week.
I couldn't answer his questions. These are all legal questions, and
and-
I told him that I would ask, and I couldn't give him any
Yeah,
answers.
some of it was things that I can't necessarily say it's not my role to give him advice, but basically, the issues that he had, I think we've got him in the right direction. He should be fine.
Thank you.
If it was the same gentleman that called me,
And me.
he was front, and he just said, you know, like, I want you to tell me what I have to do, A, B, and
Well,
C.
I don't know what to do.
And I told him that's, you
That's
know,
not our role.
that's not our role.
I told him I would ask a question. Question was asked and answered.
He's all set.
But the other, one more thing here, we passed a water budget this evening, and I voted yes on it, and I was pleased to vote yes because of one thing that was near and dear to my heart, is we're adding a person, an inspector, to go out and check, I guess at the beginning it's gonna be businesses for grease traps, to eliminate people pouring grease down the drains. Hopefully, it may save us money in the long run because people's basements won't get flooded as often. And that's my concern, is to stop that. And I just want to let the public know that the money's going to be well spent in that area.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Kozinski?
Councilor Mayotte, that ordinance about the subject matter that Councilman Muscat, that's still coming, is it not?
Yeah, I'm hoping to have it for the next agenda.
Yeah,
along with 2
I'm not
other things.
interested in you pushing yourself or rushing. That it's an issue that I think is going to take a lot of debate to put some, from my perspective, put some teeth into it to recognize that there are certain actions being taken by business people, unfortunately, who are contaminating the waters. And I think that if the fines get up to $50,000 to $100,000, there'll be some eyes opened about as to whether there should be a second chance or not for that to occur. So when that ordinance comes down, I hope all 7 of us come prepared with some strong recommendations as to how that ought to read.
Thank you, Councilman.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Councilwoman Horvath.
This is for the mayor. Do we have any plans to put signs out on the streets? No parking on trash pickup day, or however they word those things, like they do in many other cities?
I think we're gonna have to do something in connection with the ordinance. What do we have to post?
Well, part of it is we spoke about this internally, and Lee, maybe if you can.
We discussed, at least given like a 3-month warning period where we're gonna advise the people. We discussed if we put up signs, you just go down Warren Avenue and you put a sign on every street from Warren, every street from Ford Road. I mean, our DPW is gonna be busy for the next year trying to put up signs. I was thinking just by TV, through cable, through verbal, through the officers going out and advising the people, they should get the message that you can't park, until the trash is picked up, and then there should be no issue. But to me, putting signs on every street would be a big expense and take a lot of time for DPW.
Put something in Dearborn Heights today about no parking in the street on trash day. We'll announce it here, and
Newsletters, the billboard in front of the police station, put signs up in City Hall. I mean, they should be able to get the message. I don't think they need the sign on the street. They know if their trash is out, they probably shouldn't be parking on the street that day.
I've had some people who have sent me emails, and I don't know if the council got included, and also calls. Why is it from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.? And we've informed them, and we're trying to coordinate where at the same time the garbage is being picked up, we'll have the street cleaners out, and so we need a wider period. The obvious comment was, well, if they come by at, let's say, 8:30 and they pick up my garbage, why can't I then take my cars out on the street? And we told them that, no, we want to also do street cleaning. And the other thing which comes to mind while people watching, this is not the city of Dearborn, which allows residents to push all their leaves out in the street. That is not permitted in Dearborn Heights. We do not pick up leaves out of the street. So please don't. You create a significant traffic hazard, because I think those cars probably hydroplane on those leaves. And we've had a couple people, and when we've sent somebody out to talk to them, and in one case I talked to a person, they said, oh, we just moved here from Dearborn. We always put the leaves out in the street. We don't do that in the Heights. So anybody that's a new resident, please don't do that.
Mr. Chair.
Councilman Abdullah and then Councilman Musket.
Had a question for the mayor. In regards to the street cleaning, is that going to be done every single week?
Yes.
Okay, every single week, whenever garbage is picked up the same?
That's what we're trying to.
Is that correct, Bill? Okay, great.
But that's my direction, is I want to do it constantly.
Sure. And I'm also glad, you know, I've seen some different streets where the cans are already out in the streets, and the streets look a lot nicer now without all the garbage all over the place. So it's hopefully a good move for us. Yep. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Musket.
along those lines, I've had people ask me, well, nobody told me that we can't park on the street. I says, I believe that everyone was notified through a mailing that we received. A lot of people throw this stuff away. But, you know, I brought it up on more than one occasion that we should have probably have done this way back in June. And to get people used to this, no parking on the street on garbage day. I don't know why we waited so long to do this ordinance. We knew we were going to the one garbage can system. We knew we weren't going to allow parking on the street. It should have been done in June. People could have got used to it without getting tickets, and then come now, everybody would be in the swing of things. People are scurrying now to find where they're going to park their vehicles. So, but needless to say, it is what it is, and there's no parking on the streets, and I'm happy that we're going to get our streets cleaned, at least on some sort of schedule. Maybe not every week. Machines break down. You know, you have water main breaks got to be taken care of, so your street may get skipped now and then, but if I can get my street done once a month or once every other week, I'd be happy. And to go along with what the mayor said about the leaves, it all starts with us, keeping our city kept up. It starts with us, the individuals who own the homes. Pick up the leaves at your curbside, especially if you have a drain, a storm drain in the street. Uncover it, so you know you're only helping yourself and your neighbors. You know, I'm constantly going down the street with a rake and raking them up, but it all starts with the homeowners, and if we take pride in where we live, our city will be much better.
Any other announcements? Anybody from the audience, please get up and state your name and the street you live on. I'm tired today because I'm watching the election results.
Me too.
Go ahead.
Deb Brown, England. I live on Silver Lane. Our city's administration and the mayor's office should be ashamed of the way that you handled that trash contract with Rizzo. At no point did the administration of this city care about the residents of the city. You waited until the last minute to bring the issue to city council and then left them with no choice. This was completely due to this administration's poor planning. This was purposely done so that you could push the blame off on the city council and not take any of the blame yourself if Rizzo wasn't awarded the contract. You failed the residents of Dearborn Heights by not having a backup plan that was acceptable. I already know the response I'm going to receive. It's going to be the same thing I hear every time that I speak or email, is that I'm making this political. I'm not. It's just bringing to light the truth about this administration. This administration is also taking advantage of our seniors and disabled by charging them for the smaller trash cart. If this administration had properly done its job, it would have surveyed the residents to find out what size cart was actually needed. I personally spoke with Mary Jo Van Adder from Rizzo, and she also found it disgraceful that our city would charge the seniors or disabled for the smaller carts. In fact, she told me that Rizzo actually has a program to assist in providing the smaller carts for free to our residents. In addition, she also told me about the program, the door-to-curb service, that's offered for free for a limited amount of residents that are totally disabled. She said she was going to contact the mayor's office to make this start happen. But the mayor's office obviously does not want the services, because if you contact the mayor's office, they offer no such services.
Ms.
They
Brown,
tell you.
Yeah, direct your comments to the council
am.
chair, your announcement.
Okay, they tell you to try to have a neighbor or a family member take out the trash for your loved one. But again, there's a service that is offered, as I personally spoke with her. But when I try to reach her now, all it is go to the mayor's office, go to the mayor's office. So she's no longer even willing to help. Again, this administration has failed the residents, and this is a disgrace. And the residents will surely be heard in November 2017 about all these issues.
Anybody else? Nobody else? Please state your name and the street you live on.
Drapkowski, Columbia Street. Wondering if there's any word from Dearborn regarding the 9/11 consolidation. When do you expect that contract to come?
It's up to them to get in touch with us.
How long are you going to wait before you withdraw your intent?
It's the city's.
How long are you going to wait before you withdraw your intent letter?
I would think that until Dearborn comes back with some kind of a proposal, it's not, we wouldn't
Well, it's
withdraw our
been
intent.
7 months. They haven't done anything.
We wouldn't withdraw our intent there. Mayor, what I'm saying is, so we passed a resolution to enter into discussions.
Correct.
So until there's a proposal or something, it wouldn't make sense to say no to nothing.
No, the other thing is, they got an EVIP grant, and they had to have 4 communities pass a resolution in order for them to qualify for an EVIP grant. So the 4 communities that passed a resolution, there might be more than 4, but at least 4. So they're obligated under the state to give us a proposal at some point in time. Otherwise, they'd have to pay the money back from the EVIP grant. So it's just a matter of waiting for when their proposal comes. But they just had a meeting recently, from what I read in the paper, and Chief Haddad told me that their mayor met with their city council. We have not received in any official way or unofficial way the results of that meeting. So that's the status of it.
Okay.
I had already pledged, when it comes in, I'll share it with everybody in the council, so I have nothing in writing.
Okay. I'm just wondering how long you're going to wait.
Well, we're going to wait because we're obligated under the terms of the grant to at least get a proposal.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? Hearing none?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
I'd say that.
Good evening, everyone.